Namaste and welcome. I am Neeraj and I'm also a student of astrology. This is my first video in the astrology series, and we'll be talking about future predictions for Canada ranging from 2nd of July 2022, a little bit in the past, plus and going up to the 3rd September 2023. Thought of creating a quick video around what I think. This is a highly opinionated article, and astrology, as you know, is not a qualitative science, it goes by our experience. So I'm a student, and astrology is like an ocean, and where people can just go and take one or two drops from. I'm also one of them. So I hope this helps you in you making a better decision as such. If you are living in Canada or you're worried about what's really happening in this country as such. Of course, I'm grateful that you are here. So thanks again. So before we get started, this is the chart that I could confirm from multiple sources available online, and in fact. Canada was formed in around 1st of July 1867, as you can see on my screen, but there was no clear data around where is the capital of this country whenever that was formed in past. So the documents were signed in 1867 in the UK, and this is again a Commonwealth country, as you know. But the location was not specifically given, but I could validate this information from like a document manual which the government of Canada provides. And then that's basically for anybody who wants to become a citizen of Canada or appear in the exam to be a citizen. They have this guide. It was mentioned that the capital of Canada was Ottawa, right from the beginning of it. That's where I start from. On the left hand side, you see the chart which has been given. This is how the Kundali or the birth chart or the natal chart looks like in general. So the overall time period, of course, is from the 2nd of July to 30th of January. The first prediction out of everything, which is, of course, the just a few more months from now. Right now, we are sitting in around 13th of October when I'm recording this. So we are talking about a few months back, 2-3 months back, from let's say October to the early January next year. So there's a way that I look at specifically things around where the mind of the country is. If I were to treat, let's say, Canada as a human being, where their mind is going. So, of course, the mind is not towards the growth, but activities which may be self-damaging in the long run. It's more like Canada is digging its own grave, and Canada's business partner and allies are fueling it further. So that's point number one. Point number two is, of course, this is not really a good time period for Canada's reputation in society or in the international markets in general, which is bound to be affected negatively mostly. The third prediction that I have here is there are, of course, the ideological differences and challenges from enemies in this time period, maybe different countries and across different geographies. I foresee that this is basically the 12th house that I foresee that there's something very aggressively but secretively with foreign countries for its growth and prosperity that Canada is pursuing, and which is not really a good sign as it is mostly headed towards violence, which in brackets I say that in those foreign countries, of course, and this may lead to exorbitant expenses, increase in hospitalizations and casualties, etc. Of course, in the war times, whenever that happens. So this is the time period I'm guessing it will begin. Now, this is again continuation of same date range, 2nd July to the 30th of January 2023. Some more points around that. So Canada may be funding arms, vehicles, or ammunition in multiple conflicts along to its allies, NATO members or partners. Ukraine, for example, being one of them, and this, of course, will actually prove to be beneficial for Canada in terms of money and gaining revenue from this kind of activity, which is what you would have seen in media as well. Now, this is really, if you believe in God and Almighty, this is really the best test for Canada's righteousness or obligation to society or dharma in general, which I don't see that will be followed. People in Canada think it is important to help countries in trouble, Ukraine for instance, but they would prefer to stay away from any such conflicts. Now, this perception I see that is similar among other Commonwealth countries as well. There's a little bit of coincidence that I see, but this is where most of these countries like Australia, New Zealand, UK, and much of the British Kingdom will be thinking alike. Now, any steps towards which the government of Canada will be taking towards foreign conflicts, funding or support would prove to be negative for Canada, and we foresee that there can be a downfall, not a good position for America slash NATO slash European Union in this regard. We suspect loss of lives, including children, in this time period, and steps which I discussed above in the previous slides. And industries that can get affected, let's say negatively, are healthcare, pharmaceuticals, housing, and real estate. Oil and gas, of course, is poised to go up, and Canada will have to spend more to buy whatever barrels per day they buy. So we can also expect grocery bills shooting up in this time range. Not a good sign though, of course. I'm also worried like you. So there are slight chances of breaking up with a partner, allies, self, or in terms of business or trade partners or any kind of alliances in this time period as well. Of course, all these findings are important. Why I'm looking at even this, October, November, December, January, or let's say this 3-4 months of time range starting from now, is of course this has an implication in the following year, and at least up till the September or towards the end of let's say Q3 of next year. So I've taken a new time period range, which is from the 30th of January, the following time range, up till 3rd of September 2023. So again, the chart on the left hand side top you can see remains the same. And here are some more new predictions that I would like to make. This time period is confusing for partnerships and allies and doesn't really look like anything positive there. Aggressive partners will get support from Canada over the really peace-wanting ones. There can be challenges or defeat from enemies, including loss of lives and many casualties due to these partnerships and alliances. It could be NATO and anything that we have in terms of military partnerships mostly. I foresee that public will get sort of less communication about real situation on the ground, and Canada may have different public communication than the UK and other member countries in the Commonwealth. So there can be significant challenges due to steps taken in past and cause of the downfall. Time doesn't seem really a good time for partnerships, and there can be disagreements with partners, allies, NATO, or similar associations. Of course, expect rise of national debt, like how much person has to pay in terms of economics, and loans, diseases, and accidents. More specifically, I foresee during the time range of 17 Feb 2023 to 6th of March 2023, and then again followed by 16th May 2023 to 4th June 2023. So expect something major shifting globally. We are hearing about the world order and everything, but that's really true from an astrological standpoint. We can see in the charts that that's something which is changing. So there is a shift of power, of course, and which will happen in Canada in this specific time period, at least the beginning of that particular situation. And I would like to continue a few more points or findings basis my research on this chart up till 3rd September 2023. So we foresee multiple challenges for housing industry, real estate, luxury, entertainment, and automobile industry. Read that stocks will crash. Actually, I wrote 2 times. So expect that the stocks will crash in this time period. The accident and other challenges will be the focus point for Canada in this time frame, more specifically during March, June, or July time frame in 2023. We can expect a drop in Canada's income and profitability, drop in property prices, stock markets, whereas on the other side, gold and silver prices should rise up. In general, when the stocks crash, those guys, let's say gold and silver, will hold the prices up. So we can also see that there will be decreased support from Canada's friends and allies in general. We might also see a bit of recovery in the automobile industry, bit of stability in national debt, but very few chances of that being a possibility. And it will largely go by the efforts or sincere hard work that the government of Canada would have done towards the recovery. We also foresee the challenges in online phone communications, including in the internet. And because the internet is going to be disturbed a bit, I'm guessing there might be some power outages or sort of loss of electricity as well. But that's really a guess. I'm not too sure on that point. One big finding, or the big thing which I noticed across all these findings, is the launch of we call it CBDC, or central bank digital currencies. We just heard that India launched e-rupee. There's a symbol that I've given on the presentation there. E-rupee is a symbol about 3 days back, and US is following. I think Biden had signed something called as 14037 order or similar number towards that already, and secretively, without, I heard, is not really the consensus of the Senate or the Congress there, and which is so Canada can also see the something similar potentially, and this is going to be a global phenomena. This is mostly leading towards the control on the human population, 7.3 billion, whatever we are across the globe. This is and by the way, all the central banks, the Bank of England, Bank of Canada, Reserve Bank of India, and or the Bank of America, all of them are working in tandem on this silently. This was initiated, which I can foresee again. This is astrology, by the way, during the COVID crisis, especially in the beginning of 2020, and then the tests have been run to do that. So that's why it's a global phenomena. Don't think that this is happening in silos in Canada, and I have some screenshots to show you that as well. So what's happening around that? So. So the first one over here you can see is the again there was this is, by the way, the official Bank of Canada and the Government of Canada website, which talks about contingency planning for a central bank digital currency. There is no date that Canada is committing, at least in the public media or on their website. But you can see clearly here that around 25th of Feb 2020, which was again the midst of COVID crisis, they have issued this document. So that's an example of what happened in Canada. And on the similar lines, on the Indian news that I just shared with you, you can see that the Reserve Bank of India announced the launch of India's own digital currency. Now again from the looks of it, it doesn't really look like a big deal in terms of what will happen to the cash across the economies. But India right now is sort of downplaying this, that they might be using it along with the existing currencies, and this might not be the case that we are completely replacing the current, let's say, rupee in India, or following with, at least in India, I can talk about this is what is happening, and then we can foresee that this will be followed up in other countries sooner or later. People might be looking at each other of how the other countries are doing it effectively, and then can we usually do some best practices when we have to launch. With that being the last point from my side, these are my 2 cents on predictions about what could happen in Canada from this year up till the end of towards September of next year. I hope you like this video. Namaste and thank you.